Morning everyone. Today I am Untitled Chapter of French University, Bangalore, will be presenting the paper on chilling adventures of Sabrina, media construction and politics of monstrous femininity. Due to the progression of cinematography and media, culture, horror, drama has evolved in the way they tell and the type of protagonists they depict, especially in the postmodern era, the depiction of which is significantly associated with popular culture. Traditionally, which as a term was used to accuse someone of casting a spell or another to gain control or as something evil to be eliminated. However, popular culture or TV series have taken this term to be used in a positive manner in their TV shows. In recent times, especially in Sabrina, which was the topic of my research. However, within these pseudo-feminist claims they make, this is a feminist show, they refuse to accept that this feminism is constructed when the woman rebels against the system of patriarchy, and this rebellion does not create a monstrous figure as said by the Barbara Creed in her text, which is accepted by the society through the medium as a channel. For example, when you watch a TV series, you are offering the TV show, and that TV show gets displayed in your female family household. This gives them a kind of agency, and you are appeal to them due to their rhetoric of horror and supernatural and dramatic appeal. Huh. So, to conclude, I will be taking a text or Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which is a Netflix TV series which represents a young girl Sabrina who has to choose between the role of female and the witch. Okay. My thesis statement will be Chilling Adventures of Sabrina presents a problematic monstrous construction of females in the boundary of objection and transition, which requires the supervision of a middle gaze. Furthermore, my objectives are to compare the female identity as a witch and human in popular web series, to describe the female transgression and transition in a patriarchal society, to analyze the female sexual identity as monstrous, which has to be controlled by male figure. The research question I will be focusing on is that the impact, the reverse impact of such self-complaint feminist thoughts where woman has to be monstrous. My research, the first of all, I decided to take review of previously done research paper on the topic of witches. The one I take is Aletta Brenner, who elucidated that monstrous body is constructed in such a manner to incorporate fearing, desire, anxiety, and fantasy in human beings. She talks in her paper about the lineage of which, as a term, which came to be known as someone who is below the male figure and has to be killed. The second one I have taken is Whistler, who makes space for an argument regarding how women are portrayed as monstrous in popular culture and established the stand through the witch. She explained how the word witch gained its cultural meaning after some women rebelled against the patriarchal church values that declared witchcraft harmful to the society. And they didn't even know if witchcraft existed or not. They just wanted to kill those women who rebelled against their notions of what is the described role of a female and what is the described role of male who is a puppet. At last, one of the most important paper I took was Tasso, who argues how the representation is made as object, who blurs between the binaries of men and women, life and death, and masculine and feminine. She takes the work of C.S. Lewis, Roald Dahl, and Philip Pullman. She argues that due to this depiction, the reader is never presented with the question why the depiction of such monstrous femininity is presented. Also, the work establishes that they exist for one purpose, that is the most dangerous living creature on earth, whose sole purpose is to spread hatred. Let's move forward to the methodology I applied on my text. I use a qualitative data since it adopts a philosophical approach of good and evil, especially post-feminism, which looks at the relationship between feminism, popular culture, and femininity. Furthermore, I used the text of Barbara Creed, Feminine Theory, in TV series and Witch Figuration. In her research, Creed analyzes how women as monsters through their roles in horror films as witches, vampires, ghosts, etc. The study is conducted to collect and describe information about the monstrous feminine and supernatural horror drama through the comparison of Sabrina as human and witch. The data is collected in the forms of clothes, hairstyles, dialogue, specific scenes, and behavior. As such, the selected data was grouped and analyzed by relating the monstrous characters in the series based on the theoretical concept, objection, and transition. Now let's move on to the main body which describes my research. The first one is transition from human to witch. The show starts with a depiction of Sabrina as a normal, mortal high school girl with mortal friends and boyfriend. However, at the same time, the first season covers her transition from human to witch, where she is forced to accept her dark baptism at the end of the season instead of white baptism to gain more powers, and season 2 explores her witch form. Now let's focus on the first as a human where sublime indications of her monstrous side mentioned. In season 1 episode 3, she goes into a forest and eats a red apple to gain sight of what will happen in the future. When she eats that apple, she learns that how she will bring the destruction to the humankind. Also, this apple in the biblical reference refers to the sin and temptation done by Eve, which was considered monstrous and which was not acceptable by the society. Furthermore, we can see the change in her attire when she is a human and the witch. As a human being, she is wearing the clothes of small, precise, vulnerable girl of pale clothes and neutral colors with no light lipstick. However, when we move on to the season 2, we see her wearing black clothes and red dark lipstick, which signifies her sexual appeal and the sexual strength, which is what Creed says is a major part of what makes the female a monstrous figure, because she is exploring her sexuality, which is not at all acceptable by the male figure, because this sexuality is a threat to his own system. Secondly, this fear is created when this transition happens. It creates a fear. This fear creates when she leaves a human identity and wears a witch identity. This witch identity doesn't have signification in the human world. And if it has, the signification is related to something which is wrong, which is bad, which is evil, which I described in the literature. You know how witch as a term came to be known as. This signification gives something of a fear to the human world. Okay. To nail the last point, Creed mentions her evil powers are seen as part of her feminine nature. She is closer to nature than men and can control forces in nature such as tempests, hurricanes, and storms. This is described in the last episode of season 1 when Sabrina is able to control the hurricanes and storms arriving in the Greendale and makes her transition to a full witch, or as described by Creed, a monstrous female. Also, it has to be noted in season 1 when she is a half witch, when she tries to help her friend uncle, and she tries to help her friend's uncle, she learns that the uncle has been consumed by a demon, and when she goes to help him, the demon or the male figure say she's an evil. She is the order of a witch which shouldn't exist in the human world. Now, furthermore, in the second part, how the objection is created in the TV show. According to Creed, objection occurs where the individual fails to respect a boundary. Sabrina's body can be seen as a response to Creed's view of the monstrous feminine and how it represents a construction of the object as a source of fear. It threatens to transcend order and the sanctity of the symbolic order. How this objection is made will be, I will establish through several scenes. In one of the scenes, she is negatively portrayed, such as aging slower than humans, will bring suffering and pain if she marries Harry, which is shown in her dream, or her uncontrollable anger. Also, one of the significant scenes is when she is confronting the angels. Her forms turn into humankind, which is not even a witch. When she is flying in the air, they have white eyes and no human molds. Furthermore, she behaves like a predator and brings hellfire to human beings and burns them alive. This reference refers to her monstrous figure where she is having fun at the same thing, but at the same time, the other people are scared of her. They think of her as someone who has to be followed because otherwise she will kill them also. Next is in one of the scenes she vomits. This vomit represents something as of black cloth, something similar to menstrual blood, which is represent pollution. And this pollution is a sign of an objection in itself, something which is bad, something which shouldn't exist in the first place, as said by Creed. Furthermore, however, the objection of a subject is further solidified through the process of purification of identity. According to Creed, horror show attempts to bring about a confrontation with the object in order to eject the object and redraw the boundaries between human and non-human. This is seen in the show in form of coming of angels to purify the witch clan by making them to swear on God rather than Lucifer, which is the devil. And other is seen when the cross in one of the witch's houses is turned upside down to show this purification is rejecting and cannot happen. However, this purification of the angels is rejected by Sabrina when she kills the two witches by saying, I don't want to be good anymore. I'm good as I am because the power of the set of the good is evil, and which she is constructed through the text again and again. Therefore, the subject as the object is that a monster can transgress the boundary which separates a living object from that which threatens its existence. At this point, she is neither a male nor a female. Male are the people who are at the top of the society. She cannot be that. She doesn't want to be that. Neither she is a female because male has decided some rules for female. She has to remain in the male. She has to follow the orders of the male. She is not supposed to go against the system again and again. Thereby, this in between, this grey path creates her as an object which should be taken out of the society, especially when she volunteers to run for head boy, which is not something which is associated with the identity, and when she rebels against the system. Next is the need of being tumbles. In the show, we can clearly see the hierarchy presented in the Church of Men, where the father fosters at the top of the head, and later comes all the males, and then at the bottom comes the females. And this is again and again fostered by the father, when he can again and again tell to Sabrina, do not rebel against the system, do not do that, especially when she volunteers to stand against the head boy, which is seen as rebellious by both her aunts or the girls who mocks her for standing up, and also she sent rats and bats to be killed by the father first. Also in one of the scenes when she rebels against the order by declaring that Father Foster committed a crime which is going against the male order, she is subjected to death. Furthermore, when the knight came with new testaments for the female role which should be beneath him, these are accepted by the society, but Sabrina goes against him, which again establishes her role. And at last, at one point in the play, she is presented to be as Lilith, and who is subjected under the role of Lucifer, which is accepted by Lilith and prospered by other audience members who behaves, yeah, this is how the female role should be, this is how female should be kept, she should be beneath the male order. And this male beneath the male order surface as an important aspect when we move into the media streaming. Because at a media streaming, you're allowing this kind of things to come into your households, especially in the Netflix platform, which is one of the most surface streaming platform as of now, which represent the TV show of Sabrina. The show represents two binaries, good or bad in form of a human or a witch. This binary is then validated by us when we see the TV show, and furthermore, when this comes into the households, we unconsciously become the consumer of this male order. And whenever we, even if we despise the male order, we accept when Sabrina becomes this evil person or a rebellious person to go against the system. This going against the system creates her as a monstrous figure. Well, at last, I conclude that I was successfully projecting correct my research paper as where Sabrina is portrayed as monster. It depicts Sabrina as an uncontrolled witch who is a danger to society and has to be subdued by the male power or else she will be subjected to death. Her journey is concluded with the transition to witch, where she leaves her human side, which is humanity, and embraces the witch side, which is evil. Therefore, while the themes of showcasing a new side of the witch and how they are portrayed, that is, the positive connotation, the show displays disgust over a rebellious woman, which is shown when she creates a vomit out of her body. The vomit, which is a pollution in the female body, and the word witch, which suffers oppression from both the sides of humans also, as well as within the system of Hollow. If she rebels against it, as I have seen, she rebelled again and again. She gives the trait of monster by the writer or the society. Thank you very much, and this is the end.